a daily fantasy. His number too high, then I'm probably fading him. He been on the road, he gon' eat up my salary. I hit a buy, he gon' lie before lock. Play back to back, then I probably won't pick on the DFS bachelor, good as it gets. Build a few liners and hit me a leg. He had a good game, but it might be a trick. Log in the Slack so I know who to pick. Sharing our liners, we all gon' get rich. New to this game, you should come to the pad. You might want some cash and get a good laugh. DFS sports, we gon' run up a bag. He heard every game and it's making me mad. You buying your lineups, I think you a cheater. DFS bachelor, he the new leader. Yeah.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Bachelor Pad. I, of course, am your host, the DFS Bachelor, and I am joined by our League of Legends super analyst, Mike at League of Items. You can find him on Twitter at League of Items. Also, his YouTube channel, League of Items. Links to both in the video description. First things first, before we get started, again, a big thank you for all your guys' support, coming and watching, there you go, title of your sex tape. A new type of DFS that we never covered on this channel before. So for all you to come and support us and all the kind words, the comments, the likes, I really do appreciate it. Thank you all very, very much. If you are new to the channel, welcome to the team. Be sure to hit subscribe down below, get access to all of our content. Be sure to subscribe to Mike's channel. We really appreciate that. If you could hit the like button, that's helping us out as well as we continue to grow our League of Legends side of DFS. Also, liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment in the comment section. You qualify for the weekly $25 PayPal giveaway. We'll announce that winner Monday or Tuesday. One day next week, with my son starting the virtual school, we'll have a little bit different of a schedule. The video will be either way earlier or way later, or not way later, like an hour and a half later, leaning towards later. I think that's all the house cleaning. There's a link for Draft Dashboard down there. My player pools for all the NBA, MLB, NFL, Sim Sports are there as well. I know a League of Legends lineup optimizer is coming for that as well soon. With all that said, I'm done rambling. How you doing this morning, Mike?
Doing pretty well. I saw the board well yesterday. Picked all the right teams for the most part. Managed to only win $5. Somewhat unlucky. Crazy getting pulled. Pretty much just screwed me. But I'm looking forward to today. I think it's a pretty difficult board. There aren't any layups, so it's going to require you having opinions on things, which is always good because it's not going to be an easy slate for people who aren't paying attention.
Right.
But before we jump into the games, I wanted to say thanks to everybody for looking at all my videos and watching and sharing and doing all that fun stuff. Today, I'm going to live stream around 4 p.m. when the Cloud9 series starts. So today, there is going to be League of Legends on national television. So if you want to watch the matchup and kind of see what's going on, if you want somebody to help explain what's going on, then just look out for my live stream and you could just have it open while the game is on the TV. I'll try to give some commentary on the implications for Draftkings. And then if there's any questions you have, feel free to ask me via Twitter or in YouTube or something like that. I think it'll be a really interesting experience for most people who've been betting on this and not actually watching it. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing today.
Perfect. And just to refresh what we do, especially if you're new to the channel, you can follow us on Twitter for news and updates. The Chinese League, LPL, League of Legends League, the starters have already been announced. They're on both of our Twitter pages. You can find links. You can find our Twitter handles down below at League of Items, at DFS Bachelor. The Korean games, again, you'll only know starters about 10 minutes before the game. We will not know before they lock. So when playing those teams, it behooves you, sounding old, behooves you to try to find players with upside that also don't have substitutes. So you can play them with confidence and go to bed at a normal time and not stay up all night sweating whether they're going to play or not, and then you realize you can't switch them anyways. So just don't do that to yourself, right?
Yep.
All right. So anything else before we jump into the first game?
No.
First game, Sunning versus Dominus, DMO, whatever you want to call them. The favorite in this game is Sunning. Sunning is a team that can't, even as a favorite, they can be upset, right? Because sometimes they have it on and they can just score a ton of points and they're just awesome.
Yep.
And then other times they're just not there. Teams have been playing weird. You talked about this going into the playoff thing. Teams have been playing weird. There's been a lot more upsets. Teams have kind of looked fucking weird. which has been pissing me off. It makes it
Yeah.
a little more unpredictable. But I do like Sunning a lot. They're the most expensive team on the slate, but there is big upside for Sunning, right?
Yes. So in terms of salary, they are first or second in every position except for team, which they're fifth. So, like when you're looking at the team slot, that's the one that's the most highly correlated with the Vegas lines in terms of like what they expect them to score. And then the the salaries themselves are a little surprising for me today because they are a team that wants to play around team fights and they're projected to win by Vegas. So I still didn't expect them to be this high because of like
Yeah,
ownership has been going with Dominus. So if you look at Dominus, they are not as cheap as you would think either. They're more in line with their Vegas odds as opposed to Sunning. Like I feel like relative to the other teams on the slate, Sunning is overpriced and DMO is kind of overpriced as well
right,
for different reasons.
right. If you just look at the standings, Sunning's not that much higher than Dominus.
Yeah.
They've only won a couple more games. I just think if Sunning wins, they score more points than if Dominus wins. Is that accurate?
I think that stylistically, either of them could score a decent amount of points because basically Sunning, we know that they want to get into like large team fights where they have all five of their players around an objective like Dragon or Baron, and then they want to protect Huan Feng and just like fight it out,
Right.
which that could be very good for DraftKings scoring, or very bad. So it just depends on how they interact with one another when they reach that breaking point. It's actually kind of like the line of scrimmage. Like in the NFL, sometimes you have the two teams meet at the line of scrimmage and there are no holes, so the running back just hits the like tries to hit a gap, there's nothing there and falls down for like a 1 yard gain. And then there's other times where there's a huge opening and they can run the ball 60 yards for a touchdown.
Right.
So I see both of those scenarios as possibilities in this game. If it's the former, where it's like a 1 yard gain, that just means like they take the objective and back off. If they break a long one, it's like getting an ace. So when they get into the 5 versus 5 portions of the match, you want them to just throw haymakers at each other and have really bloody team fights.
Right.
But it can really go either way. They're not like hyper aggressive teams like Invictus Gaming or something like that, where you know the fights or where it's more likely the fights are going to happen. So even if Dominus is behind, I think that they've shown their ability to play champions like Kassadin. Like they can last pick Kassadin on red side when Shie is playing. So that is definitely a champion who has a very high kill potential. So even if Dominus wins, I think they have a very high kill potential because Sunning is going to continue looking for those big team fights.
Gotcha. And Chie is starting over Xiaowei. They kind of go back and forth. Today it is Chie or
Yep.
Xie. And Ben is also starting for Sunning. That's, over Biu. So,
Yeah.
which I think they've done that the last couple of games.
Yeah, they go back and forth throughout the
Anyways.
season.
And one thing I guess I'll just touch on, Sword Art. He's an interesting support. He did show in their last win that he's finally has that 100-point upside. So I guess if you're looking to do the support and captain and play the expensive favorites, there is some 100-point upside for him there. What you're looking for is not a lot of kills by the other team because he's not going to get a lot of kills. He's going to assist when he dies, when he gets killed a lot, when he's involved in a lot of the deaths. That's when his scoring is down.
Yeah. I think that Sword Art is a good support specifically for the team playstyle that they have. So they are focused on protecting their AD carry, and Sword Art should be one of the main beneficiaries from that when they win.
Right.
So it like if you're going to put them into a lineup, they need to win. That's typically what you want from your team, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
There are some teams that have the upside even in losses, so I do always tend to prefer those teams.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Sunning is a valid choice on tonight's slate, and I think Dominus is a little overpriced. They're both a little overpriced. They both scare me a little bit. They're not going to be my primary stacks, but I'll probably try to weave them into a lineup or two.
Sure. I completely agree. I'm a little biased towards Sunning because my my highest win so far in League of Legends was because of Sunning and World Elite, which is
Sure.
why I went too much on World Elite last night and they disappointed me badly.
Happen.
Badly.
Happen.
Yeah, they just shit the bed.
They were very popular last night.
I was shocked.
Surprising. I think that was mostly recency bias.
Yeah.
I think a lot of players were in your spot where like they've been winning money on World Elite and they've seen the fantasy scoring, but it's important to remember in League of Legends DFS specifically, the scoring doesn't really translate from match to match.
Right.
Like it's not like basketball where you can kind of depend on teams to get 100 points or 120 points.
Sure. I was comfortable that the high score would come from that game.
Yeah.
I wanted to have both sides of it, but then I just kind of lost track. I was doing some video calling and had a few drinks, and I didn't change my lineups, so I didn't get E-Star in. So it kind of went how I want. APK, who was my favorite underdog the whole time, were excellent. So
yeah,
if I'd have just paid attention and not had too much of Grandpa's cough syrup, I probably would have been all right. Let's go to our second game. It's our first LCK game. DragonX and Afreeca Freaks. Of course, DragonX is the favorite. I'll pull up the DragonX standings or the LCK standings here for you guys right here. DragonX. Where the hell is DragonX? Oh,
probably
I see Kingzone. They're third.
Yeah.
And of course, Afreeca Freaks is sixth. Afreeca Freaks isn't terrible. They're in the bottom half of the league. They're not terrible. Do you see any path to victory for Afreeca Freaks if we're just talking underdogs?
I'm not going to have exposure to them today, I don't think. The upside in this match comes from a DragonX 2-0 because I would expect Afreeca Freaks to be struggling more from behind because like they're kind of anticipating being behind.
That's
so I'm sure
that's called a cuddle with the struggle. That's sleep creeping. Okay.
They're probably not expecting to win this match. So I would expect Afreeca Freaks to either draft for early game and contest a lot of stuff early, or draft for late game, which is going to kill fantasy scoring. DragonX is going to be able to score either way, but if they're behind, I think that they're more likely to just let the game play out because they're not afraid of Afreeca Freaks being able to out macro them.
Right.
So I am a little afraid of picking DragonX players on this slate. All of their upside is attached to a 2-0. So that's never the situation you want to be in.
Right. One thing I will say, a positive for DragonX, is they're a team that doesn't have a lot of substitutes, and their only sub is at the mid where Chovy plays. So you can play their players with confidence and know they're actually going to play. So I do like that when I'm picking a Korean team if for some reason I'm playing them. And their 80 carry Deft, I think, has nice upside.
Definitely.
That's basically where I'm at. I mean, you can see in all their, he's got 100-point upside, nothing, high 70s, high 80s, 90s.
They played each other this split already, right? Is that in the game log?
I don't think it's in the game log. All right,
let me look that up. Can you hear like sirens and stuff coming from?
I could hear sirens where the intro was playing too.
They've been fucking like driving around my town for 6 hours. I don't understand what's going on.
You're in New Jersey, dude. New Jersey, like it's over for you guys in New Jersey.
It makes no sense. Like I heard them going down my street specifically. Like I don't know what they're trying to accomplish right now.
Am I the only one? They're just trying to scare. Am I the only one that's tired of when you turn on the TV, they have like a live ticker of how many people are dying? It's like if we did that for car accidents all day, like okay, people are like so many people, no one would ever get in a car again.
Yeah.
If we did if we did a ticker for mosquito bites, everyone would just be covered in fucking raid and poison all day so they don't get bit. I hate that. That's driving me nuts. I think that needs to go away. The whole live ticker. It's very ominous. I do not like it.
It's pretty stressful.
Yeah.
So in the first time they played this year, they played on February 15th. Afreeca Freaks won the first game. In their win, they had 14 kills. DragonX had 4 kills. So that in a win, they only got 14. 14's low for Korea. Well, actually, 14's about in line for Korea because they're more willing to play like we're ahead. We're going to beat you slowly, as opposed to China, where you would think that you're going to get a little bit more kills.
Right.
And then DragonX won 11-12. They had less kills in that matchup. So again, that shows that they're able to beat Afreeca Freaks through the macro game pretty easily. And then in the third game, it was 8-3.
Interesting. So not high scoring at all.
Yeah. So there's two ways to look at it. So I haven't watched these 3 matches in a long time. So I don't remember specifically how it went,
Hmm.
but I would think that going into this matchup, knowing that you lost to them previously when you tried to play it slow, maybe that convinces them to play a little faster. And now that we're at the end of the season where Afreeca Freaks is trying to break into the playoffs or maintain their position in the playoffs, I could see it being a little bit more high scoring than it was the last time. So if they're ahead, I think they would want to play it slow because they don't want to give away the win. But if
Sure.
they're losing, I could see themselves just like throwing shit at the wall until
Right.
something sticks.
Right. Right. So DRX is a safer type of play, but with caution because there may not be the upside that we're looking for. But they certainly have the players to do it. But it may be a situation where they play for more of the.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of DragonX's floor. I think that they will win 2 games.
Mhm.
It's just if they score 20 to 25 points in the first 2 matches and then get the 20-point bonus, you're only looking at like a 70-point,
Right.
80-point upside.
Right.
If Afreeca Freaks plays it slow. If Afreeca Freaks decides to play more aggressive and like try to force stuff in the early game and contest things in the early game, then we're going to be closer to the like
Right.
90 to 100-point upside that we're really looking for.
Right.
But and the thing is, if that is their ceiling, then it's a little difficult to pick them because I mean last night we see these extremely high kill matchups where the upside is like closer to 120 or 130.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. I won't have any Afreeca Freaks. I'll probably have a little bit of DragonX. Piosic, I like him as a jungler. He usually doesn't do me dirty. Deft, Chovy, they're all going to play their normal positions.
Yeah, and I think that DragonX will make sense on this slate if you project everything to go as like the favorites winning. So if you think that Sunning, DragonX, FPX, Gen.G, and Invictus Gaming all win, then I think the game not played bonus upside is going to be much more significant, and you'll have to have like a support or a top or a jungler as your captain.
Right. Makes sense. Game 3. LPL, FunPlus Phoenix at EDG. FunPlus Phoenix, one of the better teams, the number 2 ranked team right now in terms of standings in the LPL. EDG is 7th, only a couple games behind, really. FunPlus Phoenix is the favorite. They're on the blue side. What do you think right now, just looking at this matchup? FPX is they're the second most expensive team, it looks like. One of the top price teams in terms of their mid AD carry and jungler.
Now. So their AD carry and support are either 3rd or 4th most expensive on the slate, which is pretty good. I think that this is the best matchup for fantasy scoring. FPX is one of the best teams in the world, and EDG is a good team. Right. They have their top laner and jungler back, like their intended starters. So Jinu and GG or Jai Jai, I don't know how you pronounce his name.
Jai Jai, he did awesome for me the other night.
Awesome. So I think that brings additional upside, and this is going to be the first time that they play against a very good team, I think, since they both came back. Let me just check real quick.
Yeah, and FPX is coming off a loss to VG. So there's that. I don't know.
Okay, so with FPX, Gimgoon is playing tonight, not Khan. That's one thing that we should mention.
Right.
We sent that out earlier. It doesn't make me change how I feel about the team in general. Maybe they felt too obligated to play towards Khan's side when he was in the lineup, and they wanted to move away from that. FunPlus Phoenix right now is probably more comfortable playing with Gimgoon, but understands that in the long run it's going to be better if they like completely incorporate Khan into their roster. So this makes me feel like during the playoffs we might see more Gimgoon than I originally thought, because if they're still fighting for playoff seeding right now, and they think Khan gives them the best chance, and he would be playing. Right. So they must either think that the matchup is good for Gimgoon, or they're more comfortable with Gimgoon. So I think Jinu and Jai Jai I had forgot about that before I was looking at the games, before I was looking at the rosters. So this matchup is a little closer than I think. I could definitely see an upset um, if they played through like the top jungle, but I think Doinb, Tian, and LWX are still the better side of things. So
Yeah.
I still do lean towards FunPlus Phoenix, but it's a little bit closer.
Sure.
I would also expect these players coming back from their long break to want to kind of force the issue a little bit more. I don't think they're going to try to out macro Doinb because that's kind of how he made a name for himself, was being able to play side lanes and like create pressure across the map.
Mhm.
So hopefully they just attack the mid lane. I think that's probably the smartest thing to do. EDG has the tools to win against FunPlus Phoenix. It's just going to come down to uh, like, do they win the early fights and stuff like that. I could
Right.
definally see them pulling
Sure.
off an upset. So I want exposure to both sides
Sure.
in this.
Sure. Especially if you're making multiple lineups, it doesn't hurt to have exposure to both sides because
Yeah.
either team could beat the other team. And EDG certainly offers you some upside for a discounted price compared to some of the other good teams on the slate.
Yep.
So, okay, that's it on that game. Perfect. Let's go to our fourth game. It's a Korean League team, Hanwha Life. Our game, Hanwha Life and Gen.G. Gen.G is obviously the favorite here, but Hanwha Life has been better recently. I'm not sleeping on Hanwha Life.
Yeah, I think that they in Korea they are trying to like coin them as the Korean G2, which is the best team from Europe, but they haven't shown it at all. So it's more of like they want them to be G2 than they are G2. I think that Gen.G is significantly better than Hanwha Life, and Hanwha Life just was dumpstered by APK yesterday.
Right.
So if they're having difficulty against APK, I think Gen.G just plays a better version of APK's playstyle.
Right.
Like they're the more talented team.
Right. And then if you correlate that, Gen.G just played APK a few days ago and put up huge amount of points. It was a 2-1 bloodbath.
Yeah.
Ruler,
So that's a style thing.
Ruler, BDD, both over 100 points.
Yeah, that's a stylistic thing.
Even their jungler was over 100 points against APK.
Yeah, and last night APK put up a lot of points against Hanwha Life.
Right.
So this isn't a situation where we're afraid of them like taking their foot off the gas. It doesn't give them the extremely huge upside that you might see in like a World Elite versus E-Star matchup. I don't think we're going to get into that territory of scoring. So again, it's going to come down to, can Gen.G close this out in a 2-0 fashion while getting between 15 to 20 kills per match?
Right.
Because that's going to like solidify their floor while giving them a little extra upside. But like I said, the ceiling for this team is not by playing against someone like Hanwha Life, I don't think.
Interesting.
So have they played recently? Do we have a box score for them against Hanwha
There's
Life?
no box scores. For none of these games were in the actual box scores. I went through and checked that.
Okay, so Gen.G against Hanwha Life.
I would be curious to know because I do like the upside of Gen.G, but like you said, if the game style is going to dictate something else.
I don't think they played so far this year. I don't think they played.
Okay.
So,
I like the pricing for Gen.G. You get a little bit of a salary relief and a clear favorite. I'll definitely have exposure to Gen.G. Probably none of Hanwha Life, which means Hanwha Life's probably going to win now. So there you go.
yeah, basically. So Gen.G is a good team to stack with on this slate. Mm-hmm. I think specifically if you want to use them as your secondary stack, the only thing you need to convince yourself of is that they're going to win 2-0, which is going to let you draft their top jungle support team, whatever you need really. Even like 80 carry or something like that. If you want to do a double 80 carry stack, I'm not sure what kind of other teams you can fit in with Gen.G, but it looks like you could probably use DragonX, maybe FPX, EDG, and then to get up to Invictus Gaming and Sunning, you might need to incorporate a third team. But it looks like there should be some options there. I have to check out the sheet though.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's really it for the game, right? Gen.G,
yeah,
all the way.
Yeah.
If you want to get super contrarian and take a chance, I wouldn't do it in like single entries, but if you're playing 150 lineups, maybe have one or two Hanwha Life just to cover all your bases. But yeah.
Yeah. So let me check something for that scenario. So if you look at a team like DragonX beat Gen.G 2-0, and they only scored 67 points. So what that tells me is that Gen.G, when they're behind, they're not looking to contest every objective. That could be a situation where they don't feel like they have a talent discrepancy with DragonX, like where they don't think that they can just overcome them with talent. So maybe they would be more aggressive in the losing position against a team that they don't respect, like Hanwha Life. But it's tough to convince yourself of that and then play large exposure to Gen.G. So like I probably wouldn't suggest anything over matching the field with Gen.G, and I would expect ownership to be between 10 to 20%. Like they're not going to be an overwhelming favorite.
Sure.
So
Makes
more
sense.
sirens. The sirens are coming closer. This is fun.
Oh my god. What did you do?
I don't know.
Are you guys looting? Did you not wear a mask? Did you not wear a mask? Oh my god.
I don't know.
I'm not wearing a mask.
I can't even think like why this would be happening. Like unless there's just a ton of people who are like, "Hey, hospital, I need your help."
Maybe there's a fire. Maybe there's a fire or something.
Yeah, we're rooting for fires now. This is not a good sign.
Rooting for fires. Hashtag rooting for fires. Let's get that trending on Twitter. Anything's better.
Hey, I mean,
if I hear another person tell me to fucking stay home, or I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind. I'm serious. I can't hear. I already know people just like and I know I'm guilty of saying it too. I will never be telling someone to stay home again. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, rooting for fire is basically the LPL slogan with all of the underdogs winning.
Right. Well, it's like rooting for chlamydia over herpes. You know.
Not exactly, but
and I think we're going to be doing that in politics this year too. We're voting for chlamydia or herpes, so it's going to be another wonderful time here in America.
Almost sounds like chlydia, and chlydia is like Clyd. Clyd plays for Gen.G. I think you just made the best argument for Gen.G.
If you want chlamydia, throw Clyd in your lineup. Perfect. Our final game. Bilibili Gaming, who I just cannot figure out. I always get Bilibili Gaming wrong. I'm really tired of seeing them. Why can't that just be Victory 5 so I can just stack against them and move along? Bilibili Gaming and Invictus Gaming. Obviously, Invictus Gaming is the favorite. They're the number one team in the LPL right now. Any path for BLG being a viable underdog in this?
So I don't think that Bilibili Gaming is going to win the matchup. They have beaten some good teams. They beat Top Esports. Almost opened my mouth right there, but they didn't score a ton of points against Top Esports.
Right.
So the reason that happened, that doesn't make sense to me actually. So if they were able to beat Top Esports, I would expect them to score a lot of fantasy points. I think that they could beat Invictus Gaming, and Invictus Gaming could give up a ton of kills. I think the most likely scenario for Bilibili Gaming is to lose 1-2, where they win one game and get a ton of kills, and that kind of salvages their fantasy performance. But Invictus Gaming is definitely the side you want more exposure to, unless you have some like inside information. Maybe somebody's going to throw something. Which I'm mostly joking. I think that's really actually been pretty overblown, the whole match fixing thing. I think when people don't have a full understanding of like how an underdog can beat a favorite, they just assume the only way that they can win is by cheating or by like fixing a match. So
it was because of that damn Rogue Warriors story.
Yeah, Wayon. Good job, Wayon. Now nobody trusts League of Legends players.
From now on, the coronavirus is going to be known as the Wayon virus. That's what you get, you little asshole.
Yeah. So I think one thing that I've been doing recently with projections is like mapping it out as what happens if it's a 2-0, what happens if it's a 2-1, what happens if it's a 1-2, and what happens if it's a 0-2. So obviously you're not picking Invictus Gaming if you think it's going to go 1-2 or 0-2.
Right.
If it's 2-0, they have pretty good upside, obviously with the games not played bonus. If it goes 2-1, I think their upside is just as high, if not higher, than the 2-0, because in their losses they have shown the ability to score a lot of kills.
Right.
For Bilibili Gaming, I think the chances of them going 2-0 is almost zero. I think the chances of them going 2-1, maybe that happens 10% of the time or less. And then in terms of going 1-2, there are situations where the 1-2 team, they could still score a lot of points, because sometimes there are weird game scripts where the losing team ends up having more kills, but the other team just plays better macro game. And Invictus Gaming has shown, Invictus Gaming has been in games like that before.
Right.
So if I'm going to pick Bilibili Gaming, then I really need to be convinced that they can go toe-to-toe with them in these early and mid-game team fights. Theoretically, it's possible. It just seems very unlikely. It's going to come down to, does Invictus Gaming draft correctly? So when I'm depending on Invictus Gaming making mistakes, I don't really want to pick Bilibili Gaming. But if I have a lot of exposure to some of the other big favorites, maybe I just use Bilibili Gaming as a secondary stack.
Sure.
It's not because I want to play Bilibili Gaming. It's because I want to play a different stack and have to fit in salary somehow.
Right. I completely agree. And then when I kind of just look at the pricing, like Invictus Gaming is pretty close to Sunning. And I just feel like Sunning has the more upside in their matchup, I think. Just in terms... So, I don't
know.
It's
the way I would look at it is Invictus Gaming is more like the Houston Rockets. Sunning is more like the Washington Wizards.
Right.
Like when the Houston Rockets want to go out and score a lot of points, they're just going to go out and score a lot of points. When the Wizards play, it's like, oh well, we might get our shit pushed in, but we're going to score a lot of points.
Yeah.
Bradley Beal might put up 50 and we might just lose.
Exactly.
Happens. No big deal.
Yeah, or you just get bealed. I've been bealed so many times in NBA DFS. You don't know how many 33s I've gotten out of Bradley fucking Beal. Anyways, I digress. That's every game. So anything else on this game before we get to the end of this video? In record time, I might say. We might be in record time.
When you put it that way,
yeah.
I think that Invictus Gaming is one of the best stacks on the night.
Perfect.
I think the Shy will have a good night.
Okay. Yeah, I like the Shy. I play the Shy. And it's a sweet name too. But he's got the upside. He's got upside and he's usually never over. He's 6,800. So that's a little expensive for me for a top.
He is one of the only tops that you can really justify spending that much money on.
Right.
He has extremely high carry upside. He played a Vayne game against RNG, which is not a typical champion you see in the top lane in the professionals in the professional series. So he has free reign to do whatever the hell he wants. So if he feels like, oh, I think this matchup's really good, his team is just like, whatever, go for it. If we lose, we lose. We don't really care.
Gotcha. All right. So that's the end of the slate. So your three favorites, your three top favorites on the slate.
If I'm ranking them in order, I like probably Invictus Gaming the most, FPX the second most, and then the two Korean favorites are a tie.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look into which underdog gives up more fantasy scoring. I would assume that's Hanwha Life, so I'm probably leaning towards Gen.G, but I need to confirm that.
I think I have the same list, although I'm going to have a little bit more Sunning than you probably just because I'm going to shoot for the upside. But I completely agree. And then our favorite underdogs on the slate.
Favorite underdog is EDG.
Me too, EDG, and I think some DMO. Just because if they do win, it'll have to be, like you said, a high scoring,
Yeah.
You could just
I think the kind of lineups that make sense when an EDG team wins, I think they make sense as a primary stack and as a secondary stack. So I would consider some lineups where I use Scout or Hope as my captain. And then you might be able to fit in something like Invictus Gaming or one of the Korean favorites. Right. So that's a very high upside lineup because you're not depending on like some kind of shitty team to get there. Right. EDG is a good team. They're just finally getting their full roster back together.
Right.
So the upside is definitely there.
Perfect. Yeah, and even their jungler, JJ, in his first game back, just went out and put up 103 points in his first game in 3 months.
Yep.
So, I like that. All right, everyone, that's our video. Again, thank you all so much for being a part of the show, all your support. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, be part of the drawing. Be sure to check us out on Twitter. There'll be a link down below for Mike's YouTube channel as well. Check him out. He's doing live streams and informative stuff throughout the day. There'll be links to his Patreon for his sheet, which is just incredible and full of data, so have your brain open for that. May the fantasy gods...
You might need some coffee before
get some coffee, or just do like I'm doing and day drink. It's Saturday. Like it took me a little while to realize, what is the day today? Like tomorrow being Easter is just crazy to me. I didn't even freaking realize it.
Yeah.
And I'm being a good saint. My ex-wife can't send anything to my son, so I am going and getting a present from my ex-wife to my son. I mean, talk about a fucking saint.
You the real MVP.
I'm the real MVP. I'd rather give her herpes than do this, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Wouldn't that require you having herpes? Are you outing yourself on...
I've never had herpes. I feel like I've had some close calls. I don't know. You know, I've done some things in Vegas that maybe I shouldn't have done. But that was a different time. Now we're not even allowed to shake hands with hookers. Damn it.
That's the least of our worries.
Yeah. Seriously, thank you all again. May the fantasy gods be with you all. We'll see you tomorrow for tomorrow night slate. The timing's always weird. Appreciate you all again. Goodbye, folks.
See you.